Bishop Paul Morton was known to millions as a man of faith, wisdom, and powerful leadership. For years, people looked up to him as a spiritual father, someone who stood strong in the face of challenges and preached messages of love, hope, and forgiveness. His voice echoed in churches across the country. His sermons touched hearts and his songs brought comfort to souls in pain. But behind all the applause and respect, something very different was happening, something no one expected. You won't believe how a story that looks so perfect on the outside started falling apart from the inside. Everyone saw Bishop Morton and his wife, Dr. Deborah Morton, as a power couple. They stood side by side at the pulpit, smiled in public, and talked about faith, marriage, and family. People admired their bond and called it unshakable. Together they were seen as a symbol of strength and unity. But let me tell you, that was only one side of the picture. What no one saw and what Dr. Morton never shared for decades was the pain she quietly lived with. She recently came forward at the age of 74 and shared truths that shocked not only their followers but also those closest to them. This is where it gets interesting. For years, small rumors moved around, whispers about tension between them, about control, about emotional distance. But these were quickly ignored. After all, who would dare question a man like Bishop Morton? He was respected, untouchable. And Dr. Morton, she stayed silent, always supporting him, always standing beside him. But deep down she carried a storm inside. She chose silence. She chose peace over truth until now. And now that she has finally spoken, the truth is louder than ever. In her emotional interview, Dr. Morton revealed that she felt invisible in her marriage. While Bishop Morton gave his heart and time to the church and the people, she often sat alone at home waiting for the man she married. She said he was there for everyone else but not for me. I needed a partner. I got a pastor instead. That line alone told a painful story. She explained that every important moment in their life had to pass through him. Every choice, big or small, was controlled by him. She felt like her opinions didn't matter. She wasn't his equal. She was just someone living in his shadow. But here's the shocking part. It wasn't just about emotions. There was also something else. Something that made her question the very foundation of their relationship. She said that Bishop Morton once made a huge financial decision without even asking her. It wasn't just about the money, it was about trust. She said, How can you build a life with someone who doesn't include you in decisions that affect both of you? This wasn't a small mistake. It was something that almost destroyed their family's financial stability. She had stayed quiet about it for years, but now she said she couldn't carry the weight anymore. The moment this interview came out, social media went wild. People didn't know how to react. Some were in shock. Some were heartbroken. Others were angry. There were people who said she should have never spoken out, that she was ruining her husband's reputation. But many others praised her. They called her brave. They said her voice was long overdue. They said, finally, the truth is out. This story wasn't just about two people. It became something bigger. It became a mirror for many others who were quietly struggling in their own relationships. As the days passed after Dr. Deborah Morton's interview, the waves of reaction didn't slow down. In fact, they grew stronger. People who had followed the Mortons for years started looking at them differently. Some felt confused. How could a man of such high spiritual standing have such deep personal struggles at home? But this is where it gets interesting. The story wasn't just about personal pain. It was about the pressure to keep a perfect image even when things were breaking behind closed doors. Dr. Morton explained how being the wife of a public figure came with silent rules. She couldn't speak about her pain. She couldn't ask for help. She said Everyone expected me to smile, to look strong, to stand beside him no matter what. But inside I was falling apart. She didn't just stay for herself. She stayed for the church, for the reputation, for the fear of what people would say if they knew the truth. That fear became a prison, and over time it made her forget who she truly was. But the craziest part, even when she wanted to leave, she couldn't. She admitted there were moments when she thought of walking away, when the emotional distance became too painful, when the silence at home became louder than any sermon she ever heard, but something always pulled her back. Sometimes it was faith, sometimes it was guilt, and sometimes it was just fear. Destiny took an unexpected turn, though. As she grew older, she realized that if she didn't speak now, she never would. And maybe, just maybe, it was time for her truth to matter too. After her revelations, Bishop Morton finally responded, not in a press release or a post, but in front of his church. He stood there, the same pulpit he had preached from for years, and admitted his mistakes. "I am not a perfect man," he said. "I've hurt the person I love the most." His voice cracked. Some people cried, others stayed silent. But the real question was, were those words enough? He asked for forgiveness. But forgiveness without change is just words. Many believe that his apology was sincere, but many others said, "It's too late. Why now? Why only after she spoke out?" This moment created a clear divide. Some stood with him, saying that pastors are human too, that mistakes happen in every marriage, and that he deserved grace. Others stood with her, saying that silence isn't strength, and that no one should live in pain for the sake of public image. What made the story so powerful wasn't just what happened, but how it opened a deeper conversation about what really happens behind the scenes in spiritual homes. Let me tell you, this wasn't just a controversy. It became a wake-up call. People began sharing their own stories, their own hidden battles. Dr. Morton's courage gave others a voice, and for the first time in years, the image of a perfect marriage in the spotlight was no longer untouchable. The spotlight was now showing the cracks. After Bishop Morton's public apology, many expected the storm to calm down. But that's not what happened. In fact, things got even more complicated. You see, this wasn't just about one woman speaking her truth. It was about a community finally opening its eyes to something they had ignored for too long. People started asking hard questions. If Bishop Morton, a man of God, could fail in his own home, what did that mean for the messages he preached every Sunday? Could someone who stood for truth, love, and unity have allowed his own household to suffer in silence? This is where it gets interesting. Church members who had been silent for years began to speak up too. Some said they had noticed the coldness between the couple at times, but they brushed it off. Others said they saw signs, but they didn't dare question the man they believed had all the answers. That's the problem with putting people on pedestals. You stop seeing them as human. But this story reminded everyone that behind the title, behind the suits and sermons, was a man, a husband who had made mistakes, and a wife who had hidden her pain for decades. And yet, the craziest part was what Dr. Morton said next in a follow-up conversation.